Doctor Who Season 15, Episode 8, The Reality War, turned out to be Ncuti Gatwa's farewell as the 15th Doctor, but he didn't have to say goodbye alone. Although there was no one with him in the TARDIS at the time of his regeneration, The Reality War was filled with returning Doctor Who characters and brief cameos from familiar faces. Some hadn't been seen since Doctor Who's classic era, although some were fairly recent additions and made their respective debuts in Doctor Who's Disney era. Ncuti Gatwa's regeneration scene brought back one of the aforementioned familiar faces, raising several questions about the next actor who'll be leading the show if Doctor Who Season 16 gets confirmed. However, not every returning character had a huge impact on the show's future, but were instead added for flair, nostalgia, and a way of celebrating Gatwa's era as Doctor Who's leading man. 8. Rose Noble. Played by Yasmin Finney. Yasmin Finney as Rose Noble in Doctor Who. Daughter of Catherine Tate's Donna Noble, Rose was a notable part of David Tennant's return as the 14th Doctor in 2023's The Star Beast. Since then, she has been relegated to brief cameos. Currently working in an intern-like role for Doctor Who's new unit team, she's pretty low in the chain of command. Although she'll likely be a major contributor to the organization as she learns, her responsibilities are quite limited at present. Rose disappears from existence when Conrad Clark, Jonah Hauer-King, uses Desiderium's powers to transform the Earth into what Conrad believes to be an idealized form of human society. His problematic utopia pushes disabled people to the fringes and makes them functionally invisible to everyone else. For Rose, Conrad's shuttered view of the world makes it impossible to even imagine the existence of a trans woman, so she only comes back when 15 opens the door to the Time Hotel in Unit HQ, allowing real time to restore the room to somewhere near its pre-Conrad state. 7. Anita Benn. Played by Steph Worley. The Reality War was surprisingly heavy in its references to Stephen Moffat's 2024 Christmas special, Joy to the World. The festive episode centered around a time hotel in the 43rd century, but also showed the 15th Doctor living in a more traditional hotel on 21st century Earth, with his TARDIS stranded in the distant future. The year he spends on Earth allows him to bond with the hotel's manager, Steph Worley's Anita Benn. The Reality War reveals she's found her way to the Time Hotel and has ascended to the job of its manager. It's made clear in The Reality War that Anita grew to see the Doctor as more than a friend during their time together, although 15 didn't feel the same way. While using the Time Hotel to try and find the Doctor, Anita broke her own heart by discovering Gatwa's character was already in love with someone else, Jonathan Groff's Rogue. She is heavily pregnant with the child of a new love interest when they reunite, and is pivotal in helping the Doctor end Conrad's wish. Anita also reveals she has a connection to the Boss, an as-yet unseen villain. 6. The 11th Doctor. Played by Matt Smith. Matt Smith has never officially reprised his role as the 11th Doctor since he shot a brief cameo for Peter Capaldi's first full episode as 12 in 2014. Regardless, Smith's version of the Time Lord does appear in The Reality War. He is shown during Anita's search for the Doctor as she searches his timeline for the version she knows and loves. Before coming across 15 and Rogue during the events of their meeting, Anita spots 11. Smith's presence in The Reality War is made possible by the use of archival footage. The scene was taken from Doctor Who Season 6, Episode 13, The Wedding of River Song, so the actor didn't have to shoot any new material for 11's cameo in Gatwa's final episode. There may be a greater significance to why Russell T. Davies chose this moment for Anita to see, or it may have just been chosen because the episode from which it's taken is so beloved. 5. The Third Doctor. Played by John Pertwee. Pertwee last appeared in 1983's The Five Doctors while Doctor Who was celebrating its 20th anniversary. Before then, he had led the show between 1970 and 1974. Just as Anita stumbled across the 11th Doctor while looking for 15, she also caught a glimpse of 3. However, Pertwee's Doctor is in a much more dire situation than Smith's, despite 11 being in the middle of a potentially deadly game of chess. Pertwee's scene is taken from a 1972 Doctor Who serial called Day of the Daleks, which is a pivotal story for the franchise's most notorious villains. Despite 3 being incapacitated, Anita doesn't step in to help, presumably because she has met 15 and therefore knows the Doctor survived the encounter. The choice of Day of the Daleks as an adventure to show is likely a reference to Gatwa's frustration that he never got to face the Daleks. 4. Omega. Played by Nicholas Briggs. Omega's return was revealed in Doctor Who Season 15, Episode 7, Wish World, but he doesn't actually show up until about halfway through The Reality War. Originally played by Stephen Thorne, and then by Peter Davison, Omega looks very different this time around. Portrayed via CGI, Omega has been physically transformed by his time in the Underverse and has taken on the form of a zombified, skeletal being. Omega is now voiced by Nicholas Briggs, who is most known for also voicing the Daleks and the Cybermen in Doctor Who's modern era. He has designs on becoming the Pantheon's god of time, but is quickly defeated by the 15th Doctor and sent back to the Underverse. Omega's return was set up to present a much bigger threat than he turned out to be, but it was arguably the Rani's alterations to reality that caused the most danger in The Reality War. 3. Joy Almondo. Played by Nicola Coughlan, sort of. Anita and the Time Hotel weren't the only parts of Joy to the World that factored into The Reality War, although they were the most important elements taken from the 2024 Christmas special. Although Nicola Coughlan doesn't reprise her role of Joy Almondo in Gatwa's final episode, the character does make an appearance in her new form. Since sacrificing herself to stop the star seed from destroying Earth, Joy has transformed into the Star of Bethlehem, and she appears near the end of The Reality War.